Hey, so just wanted to do this quick little video that is more about the Embellish series, which I've been working on this week. And just a quick thing, I like sharing these kind of little secrets. I know a lot of artists don't want to share what they have going on in their studio, and I guess I used to kind of be that way, that I didn't want people to know how I made certain things because they would kind of look at it, and it's like my paintings, like they look at it and they get really close and like, how did he do that? And I realized that it doesn't matter if you tell them. Nobody can do it the way you do it. So don't be afraid to share. It's important to share your knowledge. Share it with everybody, young and old. Just kind of be a lifelong learner that way. It keeps the brain active. And it feels good to teach other people these amazing things that you know. So that's why I'm going to give you a peek into this. And one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to gold leaf or gild a wishbone from a chicken. And the thing is that I have, like, I don't know, over 100 wishbones that I've collected over a long period of time, because when I would eat a chicken, I would extract that wishbone very carefully, and I used to put them on this kind of pseudo altar that I made that was in a bathroom here at the Inferno, and we used to call it the voodoo bathroom because I had put that particular bathroom just had a toilet and it didn't have a shower and a tub or anything. And so what we did is we took that whole space and we covered it with little religious pictures of saints and Jesus and Mary, and we covered the entire walls with those images. And then I made this little, I took like a chest of drawers that we would store bathroom stuff in, and on the top of it, I made this crazy altar that was kind of a replica of an altar that I had seen in Madame Laveau's voodoo shop or voodoo museum, which was in New Orleans. And I remember I've been to New Orleans many times, but the first time I went there, I was like, oh, I'm going to go to a voodoo shop. And they had this great altar that was just like, wow. And I thought how cool it would be to theme a bathroom. And that particular bathroom was the voodoo bathroom. And it was up for a long time. Now, we just recently took it down. And now my friend Alex Law, who is a brilliant comic book artist, has turned it into, who has put up the new theme, and the new theme is Jungle Bathroom. I'll share that with you guys at some point in time, and if I find any pictures of the voodoo bathroom, I'll insert them into this video. This is a live stream, so I can do a little bit of an edit later on. But back to the wishbone, I kind of have prepared it, and I'm just gonna pull it out and show you. I have, as you know, gilding. I had showed you this piece, which is the Golden Priest that I'm working on. Pretty cool. He's got a way to go. I'm also going to show you a cool thing. This is like this odd saint that I'm kind of working on creating. And one thing I'm going to do to him, these other statues, is I'm going to add in these eyes, these glass eyes. And you see he has just cavities there, open cavities where his eyes are, because I dug them out. You know, in a religious statuary, that's one of the things they put in is these glass eyes, and it kind of, you look at those old religious statues and you see the glass eye, and it's like, I remember when the first time I noticed them, I'm like, wow, it looks like real eyes. Like, it's pretty freaky and scary. And then the fact that it's not life-size, which is also kind of freaky, because when something looks real and like it's living, and then when it's not life-size, it's like, oh my God, this thing is living, and look, it's like this little tiny man, and what if he's running around the room? It's like, how freaky would that be? Which would be reminiscent of a really great horror movie called Trilogy of Terror. If you ever get a chance, watch that. Karen Black is in it. 3 scary little vignettes, and one of them has a little voodoo guy that's a little doll that has a chain on it, and I think that traps a spirit inside of it, and the chain falls off, and he chases this woman around the room with a little knife going, yeah, 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 yeah. It's pretty scary. Ironically, the first time, before I ever saw that movie, I remember being in, I think I was like in 6th grade, or yeah, 6th grade or 5th grade, and my friend Kevin Kolodzi had seen Trilogy of Terror, and he was recounting that particular portion of the movie to me, and he was describing it, and he did it with this, really in an animated manner with sound effects and everything, and I was like, this sounds amazing. And then I saw it, and it was really great. And good Kevin Kolodzi. I don't know what he ended up doing with his life, but man, he really could give a great synopsis of a horror film. So let's go to gilding this Wishbone. Here it is, my friends. Let's see. I'm going to do this little thing here so you can see my workspace. All right, so here we go. We'll do it like this. All right, so I'm actually going to take a full sheet, or half a sheet, and I'm just going to kind of lay it in here and then do a fold over. So the nice thing is this is so tiny. I don't know if you can see it. You can't see it. There we go. But I can just fold this over on it. And voila. I can kind of close it all around it. And I'm going to open this. This is my, I save bits of gold leaf into that, because then you can use that to do touch-ups and things like that. So this, I'm just going to break this off as I squeeze it around it. And this has got to be the smallest thing that I've ever gilded. That's a big sheet too. Oh, my fingers are sticky because I've been doing this other stuff. Really, these are usually done with a brush like this, to be honest with you. See, like that. But I always buck the system and just say, you know what, I'm going to do it however I want. And I love using my fingers and having the touch of it. So now that I got it like this, I'm just going to kind of really squeeze it around there, kind of burnish it onto that piece. And this is coming out cool already. And so I've gilded a lot of things. I've gilded wood. I've done it to plaster. I have one piece that I'm going to do it to some plastic. Of course, the one thing I didn't do to this particular piece, oh, that didn't dry so well. That was a big mistake on my part. So I'm going to add more to kind of buffer it out. I didn't lay a paint over this. And typically, if you see, well, you can see the bottom of this piece. There's this color, and you can see right in here, there's this kind of red brick color. And that's a common color. Sometimes people will use black, or they use some other colors, but that red brick color is a common color that is used when doing gilding. And it's just that somehow the bounce of that color when it comes to working with the gold, it's just somehow it looks great. So you usually do that. And this organic material, these little wishbones, I don't think I need to do that with this. And as you can see, it's coming out pretty cool. Since it didn't dry totally, usually I let the mixture that I put on there get pretty tacky, so it's a little bit drier. But I mean, you can't see it, but this is coming out way cool. It's just, look at that. And I can kind of rub it, and then it just kind of gets like a sheen. And if this was real, like 24 karat or 18 karat or 14 karat gold, I'd be pretty dang stoked, because how cool would that be? But that would also be a bit pricey and probably unnecessary. So unless I get a commission to do some, that somebody who specifically needs to have it made of real gold, then we'll do that. But if not, we use this kind of gold, and this is a gold leaf that is commonly used. So it's looking great. I love this idea of using the bone, a lot of just be the whole like death element reference of, using something that was alive. It's a bit morbid, which is kind of right up my alley. The first painting I made was a bit morbid. It was a painting I made after my dad died. He died when I was 19. And that was kind of really the first, I made a first painting when I was in high school. It was the first time anybody had ever given me access to oil paints and good acrylic paints, even though I mixed them together because I didn't know what I was doing. But when I started studying art in college and then I had a painting class, the first painting I made in that class was this kind of Gestalt type abstract painting that I made right after my dad died. I kind of literally, he died and we buried him. And then I remembered like driving down to the studio and just being like kind of an emotional, like bit of a wreck. And I just started throwing paint. And painting has always been an emotional thing for me, but that was something where I was really able to pour my heart out onto the canvas. And even since then, I've kind of always done that, like I suffered this pain, and then a lot of my paintings have to do with pain, either pain I suffered or pain I see other people suffering. And so I don't know if it was some kind of weird thing that was kind of birthed out of that first experience, or if that was just what was meant to be, that my art was going to be a lot about that. But it just came kind of naturally. And I don't know if it's good or bad or whatever. I don't really think too much about it. But if I sit and analyze it, it's just interesting to be a conduit for that. And of course, I've suffered a lot of pain in my life because I have this thing called malabsorption, which is just super painful. I have to take medications for, and part of my GI system doesn't work like normal people's system. And so as a result, I kind of walk around every day with a lot of pain in my belly, and I just kind of try to hide it. But it comes out in my art. I try to kind of channel it into something. So look, there it is. That's it. That's the piece. It's kind of all done. Let's see if we can get it. Oh, I can't. Nope, it doesn't happen that way. Let's see. Here we go. It's really beautiful. It's like totally transformative. So I'm going to do probably 20 or 30 of these pieces, and they're going to be I think again, when I do sculpture, it's the process is kind of organic. So I'm going to do this, and then we'll see where that takes it after that. I've done conceptual work in the past, and this has an element of conceptualism to it, but it's really like all my work. It's kind of it's unfinished. It's just like, oh, I started this, and this is the beginning of the process, but wow, it's so beautiful. If you could just see it in person, it's so like just great looking. Anyway, there it is. That is the complete gilded thing. We'll let it dry, and I'll kind of come in and burnish it a little more with my hands or with a little soft cloth. Sometimes I can use the dryer sheets after they've been used. I've managed to collect those, and I've realized that they're really good for burnishing and doing other things that just kind of take like a polish. So don't throw those things away. They actually have like an artist supply kind of application. Anyway, there is something that was dead is now coming back to life, and something that suffered some kind of pain and then yet offers a promise, a wish. Something kind of magical and mystical, which I love. And if somebody gets this, they could kind of share that with somebody else. And it's not just a regular wishbone. I don't know if it's going to be a ton of these made into a big pile, or if they're going to be strung together on something, but this is definitely the beginning of it. So, like I said, I've done, so I'm going to set this aside. I've done conceptual pieces, and I do like that, but I don't ever follow the concept all the way to the very end because I find that that work is kind of dry and it's boring, you know. It's interesting because I know some artists who are my age, but who came to art later in life. You know, like, I mean, I literally started drawing when I was 3, 4. My dad used to bring me big banana pens, and I would draw like a madman, literally like a madman, because I had Mad magazines that my brother had, my older brother had, and I would get those and I would look at them and marvel at the interior comics. And there were a couple things, specifically Don Martin, who drew characters with little toes that would kind of like stick up like that, and round noses, and it was very stylized. Don Martin's work, you should go look at it. But he did a thing called Captain Klutz, and I used to copy Captain Klutz all the time. I was just like crazy about doing Captain Klutz. Anyway, so yeah, it's interesting to do this kind of biomaterial and kind of revive it. And anyway, these guys, back to conceptualism, these artists I know, they came to art later on in life, and so they're mature, you know, they're in their late 50s, early 60s, and, you know, they were professionals and had other careers, and then they're like, I'm going to become an artist. And a lot of the stuff that they do is conceptual, and they do it where they kind of follow it to the bone, and it's a bit dry. And that's the dilemma when you're doing conceptual work, unless you're like a super genius. And I don't even think that super geniuses, like, I love a lot of conceptual art, but there's always this process of the artist. It is conceptual work, but it doesn't follow that. It's not like I plan it out and then we produce it and that's it. And I think that's what these guys are struggling with, that, because they think that's how it is, and then they make art like that, and you realize it's like, oh, there's something kind of lacking here. Like, it doesn't have that like discovery thing going on, and so as a result, they end up making work that is it's a bit lacking. And since I don't say their names or anything, it doesn't matter. Nobody will know. They'll never see these videos because I highly doubt they would watch my stuff. Here's the guy we're gonna do. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna put in some glass eyes, and I have these little glass eyes. Look, let's see if I can show you here. Look at these. They're these little tiny things. They're like a little pinched piece of glass. And it's so bizarre, and you got to kind of put them in just right, but they're so cool. They almost look like little shells, but here's another eye. See? Put 2 eyes like this. Like that. Hello. Oops. Anyway, so if you start making conceptual art, think about that really you should keep it a little organic. Keep the process going. Don't be rigid. Don't stick to it. Let's see. I'm going to see if I can put this down here and put this guy's head here. We'll do it like an operation. Because when you take that approach to making art in that kind of rigid manner, you just miss out on discovery, and you miss out on this ability to kind of create something that you didn't know you could create. You know, expanding your circle and learning what you didn't know you knew. There's a great graphic for that. I remember I had a great sculpture teacher named Mark Pritchett. He was a pretty brilliant sculptor. The man loved to smoke his pipe and critique art. My kind of teacher. I probably learned my best critique techniques from him, because he was brilliant at critiquing art. Anyway, so that was something he would say, where it's like, hey, discover, explore, use the right side of the mind. I'm having problems getting this glass eye in here. Man, he's getting cross-eyed here. Yeah. And even when you're an older artist and you're learning how to do that, it's interesting how people who are really intelligent and who have great ideas can have sad execution, and their art can be kind of dry because they don't realize that they're doing that. I mean, to be honest with you, I look at some of that kind of stuff they're doing and I'm like, oh yeah, I did that when I was 17, 18, when I was just starting out. Look at this. See if we can do it. Is that awesome? See how the little man comes alive? You almost expect him to speak. So I was just kind of testing that out. I have some other colored eyes. Those are brown eyes like mine. And I have some green ones. I might pop those out and try some green ones. We'll see what that looks like. But think about that. So that's how I do these Embellish series. They seem like maybe I'm just kind of going through emotion here, but I'm constantly exploring with them. So I'm putting these eyes in, but you never know. I might run into something else and be like, oh, maybe they don't need eyes, or maybe they need a third eye or something. And that's what you have to stay open to, is those kinds of discoveries, because that's what's going to make your work interesting. That's what's going to kind of give you, that's what's going to kind of take you to the next level. These eyes are a bit fatter. None of these things are uniform, just so you know. These are I think these are made by, they're kind of made by hand. It's like some glass artist just cutting these little things out. Or maybe they have some kind of mechanical process for it. These are falling in there, but they're the iris is kind of looking up. So he's like, if I put him in like that, he'll have this look on his face like, oh brother, here I am. I could always do the David Bowie thing and give him one brown and one green eye. That would be kind of cool, but I think that might get lost on. It would just be an inside joke. Not everybody would get it. So these, I have to dig out a little more, but let's see. I don't know. I kind of think the brown was better. He looks too happy with this. He's like, hello, my name is the Golden Man, and I'm flipping you off with this really kind of gesture that will put a curse on you. So anyway, that's how that's done. So I'm going to decide which one I'm going to do, and I'm going to stick with that, and then I'm going to finish this piece. There's a lot more detail, some more gold leafing, some burnishing that needs to be done, but indeed I need to set these eyes in there and get that out of the way. So I'm going to do that. And oh, actually, look, that helped. Thanks for dropping by and watching this video. And I hope that you kind of learned something from it. If you have any questions, put a question there before, this is a new series, and so there's no subscribers. So if you're the 1 subscriber or 2 subscribers or whatever, ask me a question or make a request. I accept requests. But, oh, that looks better. Check him out now. Let's see if we can do this. He still looks kind of happy. Like, hey, what are you doing here? I don't know. He definitely doesn't, his face is not matching the action. So I think he's definitely not a green-eyed guy. I think he's a brown-eyed guy. Anyway, that's it. So that's how you gild a wishbone, and this is how we do glass eyes. So that's a little secret peek into my studio. All right, amigos. Take it easy. See you later.